welcome to it. Another episode of the Josh Can Explore podcast. My name is Josh. Today we are really delving into Paranormal Exploring Project. Now, this podcast isn't all about the Paranormal Exploring Project, but every so often, psychic medium Tammy Schuster and I are going to connect up and talk about some of the videos that we've put together. A lot of them happened last year, 2022. We did our first season of this. If you're not familiar with what the Paranormal Exploring Project is, well, imagine taking your video camera to haunted locations and trying to experience some different haunted haunted happenings. Yeah, that's actually what we did all last year. One of the side projects that I've been working on, amongst a bunch of others, is just that, going to haunted locations or said haunted locations just to have the experience. Now, some people may say, oh, you're a paranormal investigator. And my whole thing is, well, I don't know, because it's not my goal to necessarily prove what experience we're having. It's my goal to just experience it. And as I'm experiencing it, the viewers are experiencing it as well. So it's a very raw video series. If you want to watch it, just go to youtube.com/whatsajosh and you'll see the Paranormal Exploring Project playlist right there. If you go to paranormalexploring.com, you can also watch the videos there as well. Last year, I want to say we did 6 or 7 locations, 3 big locations. We did the Westwood High School just outside of Bowling Green, Ohio. We did the old Williams County Jail outside of Bryan, Ohio. And then we went to Northern Michigan back in October and did the Cottonwood Inn, an old bed and breakfast in Empire, Michigan, right next to the Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes. Now, when you go to the Facebook page and all that, there's a lot of conversation about the Cottonwood because we keep finding new things. But I wanted to cycle back a little bit to the very first place we went to, which was the Westwood High School. Westwood High School, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like I said, it's outside of Bowling Green, Ohio in Rudolph. It's not even in a village, actually. It's between a bunch of cornfields. The school shut down a bunch of years ago. I want to say the district was consolidated into a larger district, and they shut the building down, and it sat empty in the early 2000s. A guy bought it. He turned it into a haunted attraction, which was really cool. I actually really enjoyed going there. If I remember right, you would go park your car. He had 2 buses backed up to each other. You'd get on one bus, walk all the way through the bus, through the back. I don't remember if he had the back cut off or if the 2 emergency doors in the back were kind of open and connected. But then you'd walk onto the other bus, and then you'd get off the bus, and then you'd be at school. It was a really cool experience. And, of course, you had people jumping out at you, and then you would start it in the basement where the locker rooms and everything are at. So a lot of that stuff is still there. It got shut down because of some fire code violations. At the same time, he was building apartments on the upper floors, and eventually those got shut down by the health department or the fire marshal or somebody. And the buildings, for the most part, sat empty for, well, we'll call it maybe the last 15 years or so. So there's a guy I know. His name is Austin, and I know him now through our Paranormal Exploring, and he runs these different locations. He works with the property owners, and he rents these places out to people like me who want to do some of this paranormal exploring. We got the place for the night. It was me, psychic medium Tammy Schuster, and one of my friends, Jason, who came out to explore this place. It was one of the creepiest experiences, partially because this was the first big one we've ever done. Like I said, I've done investigations before. Nothing this intense, though. Nothing that happened all night. Nothing to where it was just 3 of us. Nothing where we're basically running the show. So Tammy Schuster, she's been a good friend of mine for the last, well, I'm going to say since 2012, somewhere around in there. She used to be a guest on my morning show that I worked at in Northern Michigan for about 5 years. She came on every week and did readings. She's also become a very close friend. In fact, she's going to be at my wedding coming up in September. So how cool is that? She is going to join us here in just a couple minutes. We're waiting for her to call in on Google Meet. And we're going to talk about this and get some behind the scenes on what exactly happened. But in the meantime, if you ever have any questions that you want to ask maybe about the paranormal exploring or about anything that we've experienced in all these other videos, your best bet is just to email joshcanexplore@gmail.com, or if you go to the Paranormal Exploring Facebook page, just search that, send a message, and we'll answer them on the podcasts as well. So we're going to do our best to keep up with these every couple weeks. Every few weeks, I'll check in with Tammy Schuster, and we'll talk about what's going on as far as some of the paranormal exploring and other things, and the videos that we've already done. But she's calling in right now. I believe I got her. Tammy, how's it going?
Good. Hi, Josh.
So, yeah, sorry, my brain's been racked on all the technical stuff trying to get this together, so hopefully everything works okay. By the way,
Yeah.
did you see the shirt I'm wearing?
I see that.
It's backwards. These are the worst shirts, by the way. Like, the logo's cool, but 3 washes and all the fabrics and everything's all faded already.
Well, that's
So.
not a good plug, but the water bottles are awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I sent you a water bottle. And did you get a coffee mug, too, or something like that?
Yes, I did.
So.
Yep, and then I got 4 more water bottles because I love them.
Awesome. Wow, 4? Okay.
Yeah, gifts.
So how is your podcast going?
Good. You know, it's I'm not video, so it's a lot good. I can do them on my jammies. So yeah, I just do them once a week, every Monday.
And that's what's it called again? Angels
Awakenings and Afterlife.
Awesome. All right. So, yeah, we decided to try to do video just to do something a little bit different today and put something up on the YouTube channel. But what I really wanted to talk about, because we discussed a lot with the cottonwood already, that was the last thing we did.
Yes.
And what I really want to do is get into what happened the first time we went out to do one of these. And that was the Westwood School. Well, that wasn't the first investigation we did, but that was the first big investigation that we did.
Correct.
And we'll come back around to the cottonwood in later episodes and the jail and all the other stuff. And I think we already talked about how you met some family through the cemetery that we did, which was one of the first videos that we came out with. But we constantly talk about the Westwood and how freaky that is. And whenever we get feedback from viewers on the YouTube channel, which, by the way, it's youtube.com/whatsajosh. And I know the videos are also up on your page, tammyschuster.com. Yeah. As well. But a lot of people say that is the most frightening video that they've seen. And
you should have been there. It wasn't real. It's actually as frightening there, if not a little bit more.
Well, and that's the thing. So it was me, you, and Jason. What we like to do is we have a third seat that kind of rotates with people. And Jason was the first one. Then Dawn helped us out. And we've got other people lined up to help us out. I think one is involved your ghost family, right?
Yeah.
So we're working on all that stuff for the next season. But we go to this school, which is located in literally the middle of a cornfield. I want to say it's 3 floors.
On a full moon.
Yeah, on a full moon. It's 3 floors. And we're just kind of ho-humming, going in there. First big thing we did. I mean, prior to that day, I think we stopped at like 3 other locations, but they were just kind of like way smaller. There wasn't anything crazy.
Just in and out.
We go into this abandoned school. The ceilings are falling in. The floors are falling in. We meet with a guy, Austin, who set all this up for us. He runs a company that they get together with all these abandoned places, and you can do ghost hunts in them and whatnot. When we got there, my first thought was, oh, this is cool. But my immediate second thought was, oh, shit.
Yeah, and I didn't go in with you guys at first, so my initial thoughts were different than you guys because you were going in and I was outside at first.
Right, so what we're doing with these videos, we didn't do it so much at Cottonwood because you're so familiar with Cottonwood that it wouldn't have made sense to do it, but what'll happen is me and the third person will go in, and whoever owns the property or is managing the property, in this case it was Austin, will give us a tour, tell us all about it. I try to do a little history before I get there just to kind of get an idea, but Tammy knows nothing about what's going on. She's never been there, and especially, I mean, how many times can you say you've been to Rudolph, Ohio? Once. And that was it.
Yeah, I started to say 0, but once with you.
Then that was it. That was her first time there, and you're out with a camera, and you're basically recording your thoughts. And we're inside getting the rundown of everything. Austin being into the paranormal as well. He's telling us where all the hot spots are and everything that's going on. And you nailed it, because as Austin was telling us about what do you call the guy, the chalk man?
Yeah.
And other rooms where they have a lot of activity and slamming doors, you're outside recording the same thing on the second camera.
Yes.
So
and right off the bat, I got that light that came on and off right off the bat, and that kind of freaked me out right off when I was talking, and then it came on downstairs.
Oh, that's right. You were out there alone. Now, this was still in the daytime, but the sun was starting to set. Tammy is standing by the stairwell, and she's kind of recording her thoughts, and you see the fear in her face as she stops. She looks down in the basement where there's a light that just starts turning on and off.
Right, and I thought it was you guys, so I'm like yelling and no one answers, and then it went off, and then it went on again, and I'm like, did you guys see that?
Right. And the crazy thing, it wasn't a solar light. Now, there was a solar light in there, but that was upstairs. So we addressed that in the video, but that video or that light that you saw was just a basement light. Now,
Yes.
to put this in perspective, when we walked into this place, it smells like mold. It stinks. Again, the drop ceilings are falling in. The guy who owned it, he had built that as a, well, this is what I first thought. I thought that he turned it into a haunted house, which it was originally after it was a school. I thought he was working on making it as apartments, and the county shut him down. But I was wrong on that, and you were right the entire time.
I was. I thought it was apartments, and you said no. I mean, it was just a feeling that I got.
Right. So what had happened was it eventually was apartments, and people that lived there, and you had even said it was people that were borderline homeless. They couldn't afford much. Meanwhile, this entire time when we're getting the tour, we're being told that, oh, no, this was high-end apartments. And we're like, and you called it out right away.
Yeah.
Outside of the chalk man, do you remember what the other feelings you felt when you were in there?
Well, remember walking up to it, my grandma was telling me, don't be happy. Remember, because we were telling you, don't be happy, Josh. Like, they don't like happy people in here.
Right.
And that was one of them, too. And then the chalk man. And then I felt like there was a not good person and then almost like a janitor type person in there.
Do you think the janitor person was also the chalk man?
I do.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't that entity that was messing with us and creating fear.
Right. So we're going around at the very beginning. We do our tour. We have the REM pod with us. Tammy is talking about the different things that she's feeling. Again, you can watch this video. It's an hour long. And then we come up to what I would say would be the highlight of the night. And that's when, well, right before we did that, we go outside, I think, take a break. We hear pounding coming from inside. And we go to this.
And then I heard, come inside.
And then we went to the stairwell where Austin said that there was CJ Faison, who was another paranormal investigator and YouTuber, was doing a video, and the door slammed open. And we play with this door at the very beginning of the video after he's telling us all about this. And that's when I said, hey, I brought some flashlights. Let's try a flashlight session. So if you're not familiar with that, the flashlights, they're little mag lights, and you spin the tops of them just barely so they turn on. The idea is that spirits can use the energy and they can manipulate those lights, which that is on full display, not only at the school, but at the Cottonwood as well.
Yeah.
We start the session, you're talking to the spirits, and originally, what were your initial feelings on that spirit prior to your grandma coming in? And
well, what's funny is earlier that day, we were talking about how bad spirits can imitate good spirits. It's so crazy because it was one of the conversations we had earlier in the day before we got there about how bad spirits can mimic good spirits, and make you fall for them. So at first, I mean, I think we all felt good, light, eerie. It was probably the first time all night that we weren't looking over our shoulder for waiting for what's going to happen.
Right.
I think all of us felt that.
Yeah, and I think we were all just excited. We were there in a really cool school. We're doing this really cool video. We got all the equipment out. We've got all of our toys to play with. We just had a great interview with Austin. You're out there feeling things are just working. We start talking to the spirits, whoever's in there, right in the stairwell. The lights are placed on the stairs. They're going on and off to our questions, which was insane. Have you ever seen anything like that before when you've done your other investigations, other than what we've done?
I've seen them come off and on, but never for like the length of that, and then never for when we called it out and how it drastically changed the way that it was turning the light on and off.
Right. So this keeps going. And eventually you start going up the stairs. And this was probably the creepiest part. You start going up the stairs and then you stop. And when we say she's going up to the stairs, she's going towards those lights.
Yes. I was headed to the top of the stairs because one of the things is if you want me to come up there, turn the light on. And so they turned the light on. And what's really creepy is I'm going up the stairs and I get a little bit more than halfway up and I hear my grandma say, stop. Well, I just stop, and in my head, I'm talking to my grandma, and you guys behind me have no clue what's going on. All of a sudden, I hear Jason say, I don't feel good. I'm getting sick.
Yes.
And then I hear you say, something's touching me. So you guys have no clue what's going on in my head or that my grandma's telling me to stop until I start backing up and talking. But you guys were experiencing it at the same time that I was talking and calling it out in my head with my grandma. It was so crazy.
It was. And I think it's one of those things where I hope that it translates well enough on the video to be how scary of a moment that was when you just stopped. And then we were all like, oh, crap, now we're involved with something much darker than what we thought. And that, again, goes back to that conversation we had earlier in the day on how they disguise themselves. And your grandma had brought that back up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She said, stop, not good. And then, so you guys, like I said, it was just so crazy because you're feeling things back there, having no clue what's going on, what I'm hearing in my head. And I start backing up and then I start challenging it, saying, oh, my grandma just called you out. How does that feel? And that light, remember, it went from on and off to woo, like it kept, before it was just on, off, on, off. This one, it just kept like turning the mag light going in and out, in and out. And I think your camera died at the same time it was getting angry with me.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The camera batteries, what was funny is when we did the initial walkthrough, when you were out front, the camera, which was a brand new camera at the time, I had never used it, brand new batteries and everything, all fully charged. When Austin was walking us through and we got over to that stairwell, everything died. And I just thought, okay, whatever. It must just be, I must have just had it on way too long. Get a new battery in it. We go back through, and like you said, it completely crashed out. And we actually lost quite a bit of footage when that happened. So sucked all the battery power out and everything. It was a crazy night. So do you remember who or what that could have been that was kind of drawing us in to that spot?
I don't know. I felt at the beginning, like I said, that I felt like there was deaths in that apartment. I felt like there was drug use in this apartment. I felt like it was someone that had died there that was not good. So we had the janitor type thing from the school area. And then I felt like the other one was someone who almost died of drugs or was, they definitely died there, but not good person, not good circumstances.
When I was doing research on this, one of the former tenants of that place talked about how she lived there with her daughter. And obviously, if you're living in a place like that, you're probably keeping your kids as close as you can to yourself because of the people that might be there. But the daughter was the one that found the stick figure drawn from the chalk man on a chalkboard. So that was the idea. They left their apartment, came back in, and somebody drew a stick figure on it. So my mind is like, I wonder if that janitor was watching out for that little girl.
My guess, probably. And I think we definitely had people besides my grandma looking out for us too. I mean, things, happened and it just was crazy. I've been to a lot of places and that's one, I don't know if I really want to go back or not. And so the funny thing is, after all of that happened, I think we were all pretty darn scared. I mean, I see and hear from the other side, but when you're doing this investigation, you're going blind. You don't know what you're going to do. But then after we're all freaked out, we realized we still have to go up and through that door to get all the equipment. And that was another process in itself.
Right. And we had everything up. I think it was like on the third floor or something like that. I braved it to go over to see if the door was opened up or closed or if it was different than how we left it. And I booked it back. I booked it back. But all in all, we made it out relatively unscathed. One thing I wanted to ask you, though, when we were doing the Estes method, and this was the first time that we've done this. I don't know if you've ever seen it done before. I'd only seen it done on other YouTube channels.
Yeah.
I don't even think Jason was even familiar with it at the time. We were going through and hearing just kind of random things, not really knowing what to expect. You heard some pretty scary things. Do you remember what that was?
Oh my God, I'll never forget the sound of it. And I think you guys were correlating because you were hearing bangs at the end of the hall.
Yeah.
Every time I would jump. So I would jump without knowing I was jumping, but it was like this. The best way to describe it is a horror movie when you hear those demonic voices. It was like, I mean, it was so, and it would go from, the words to this really loud, intense growl almost like. And I don't remember jumping, but you guys on the tape, you guys keep looking down the hallway. So it's almost like every time I jumped and heard that voice, you guys heard banging down the hallway.
I remember that. Yeah, it was the opposite. So one end of the hallway went to that stairwell where we had all the activity from the flashlights. The other side went to where we had to go out on the steps to take a break. And it was down there we kept hearing everything to the point where I thought Austin was still on site messing with us or somebody was, but they weren't. And if you remember, when we were setting up for the Estes, I think Jason was getting ready to go under. There was that croquet mallet.
Yeah,
that just fell out of nowhere. It was sitting on there was like a washer or something kind of random sitting in the hallway, and it just fell over. Yeah. So yeah, I left it. I'm with you on that one. I don't know. As bad as I kind of want to check it out again, I don't think I could do it again. It was
I don't know. That was pretty creepy. And that was, combination, maybe full moon, maybe, I don't know, maybe now a little bit more under our belt.
Right.
Maybe it would be different going back in with a different, but I don't know. I would never go back in there and think that we're talking anything good again. That's for sure.
Well,
I'll never get me again.
And it does remind me of, do you remember the movie The Ghostbusters when they first go in? They really don't know what they're doing. They go into the library and they're just experimenting in the ghost zone. That's what it reminds me of, and that's how I kind of felt when we left, because you guys got to remember that, I don't know, I can't really speak for Tammy, but I've been on a couple investigations, mainly the one we did, the original Cottonwood we did about 10 years ago, but never anything this intense, never anything where it's just you and I and another person just getting, like, we're running the show. Yeah. That was frightening.
I've done quite a few investigations, but not like this.
Yeah. So anyway, we just wanted to run through, and I wanted to get obviously your take on it, but we do a lot of these videos, and we're going to be doing more coming up in this next season, which I'm really excited about, but I kind of feel it's important to stop down, take a break a little bit, and discuss some of the stuff that happened, because there's a lot that happens when we're at these locations that doesn't make the cut in the videos. Yeah. So what we're going to do with this podcast is, I'm doing other things with it, but every few weeks we'll hop on, we'll discuss like one of the videos to see, hey, what was going on. And of course, if you guys have any questions, always message us to the Paranormal Exploring page or any one of our Facebook pages. But yeah, any other memories of that night? Oh, do you remember when we left? How foggy it was?
Yeah, it was very foggy. And two, for that, when we left, Austin was not there. Like, his car was not there. We had to message him to tell him we were leaving. So there was proof it wasn't him out there messing, because he wasn't there. But it was very foggy. And then you took back roads, and then you acted like your car wouldn't start. It was just like, it was so dark, so foggy. And all the way around for a long time, you followed that cornfield.
Yeah. Well, that was, and that's the thing, though. I know it was back roads, but those were the only roads to get where we needed to go, because that's how rural this old school was that it was literally in cornfields. Yeah, the fact that now that I can compare everything to the Cottonwood, I don't feel, for me, it was as bad as that night of the Cottonwood with all the pounding. But at the time,
we didn't sleep there either.
That's the thing. If I had to sleep there, that would have been a totally different story right there.
Wouldn't happen. So
anyways, psychic medium Tammy Schuster, thank you so much for joining me on this second podcast that I've done. Hopefully it's not too much of a disaster.
I'm sure it'd be great.
No, I don't know. That's kind of asking a lot. Anyway, again, psychic medium Tammy Schuster. You can check out her website, TammySchuster.com. Also, psychic medium life coach Tammy Schuster on Facebook. Always a privilege. I can't wait to get together with her, and I can't speak again about how horrible of a shirt this is. I just noticed the collar. Boy, this was a terrible first video podcast to do. If you're watching on Spotify or watching on YouTube, what a terrible way to start this off. I look like crap. Anyway, I'm going to get on out of here. I appreciate you checking us out. Again, look for it every couple weeks. Just search What's a Josh on your favorite podcatcher, or you can keep up with these on the youtube.com/what's-a-job Facebook page. Or, I'm sorry, the youtube.com/what's-a-josh YouTube page. And keep up on these videos. If you haven't watched all the videos yet, there's a little bit of homework for you over the next few weeks, because we'll definitely be talking about them. Till next time, I'll talk to you later.